It's springtime. Well, at least it is on the calendar because it certainly doesn't feel like spring where I'm from. But nonetheless, we have a lawn season to prepare for, which means a lot of planning, a lot of things to consider. So let's dive right on into it. All right, first things first, I'm going back inside because it's still cold here. Whew, all right, that's a little bit better. So let's dive right on into the planning for the lawn season. There's a lot of questions coming in when we get out of winter, go straight into spring with the lawn. Like, why does it look so bad? When can I first mow? When do I first fertilize? What do I fertilize? How much to fertilize? What do I do with weeds? And what do I do with filling all these bare spots? But most importantly, why does my lawn look so bad and how do I get a lush green looking lawn? So let's tackle all of those right here and right now. The snow's melted and all of a sudden you are welcome to spring with an ugly looking lawn. It's brown, it probably has some dead looking patches to it and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? I thought I had a plan going into fall and here I am. And here's where the good news comes in, because every single lawn on a cool season lawn coming out of winter is ugly. It's just hard-driven facts. And the reason is because it's coming out of a nap. And the last time I checked, the last time when we wake up from nap as humans, we don't look that good either. We haven't gotten ready to go out, and neither has our lawn. It's not ready to party yet. And this is where my 2 rules coming into spring apply for all of our cool season lawns. Rule number 1 is for you to not panic. And rule number 2 is for you to refer to rule number 1. Because your lawn will wake up, it just hasn't gotten ready to go out to party yet. So that covers why we shouldn't panic on dormancy and why our lawn looks brown. But what about all of these little patches that we might be seeing in our lawn? Some lawns will get hit harder than others in this, largely due to the location that you're at and the severity of winter that you just experienced, but this is likely something called snow mold. Snow mold can look a lot scarier than it actually is. These look like small, round circles, maybe a couple put together where the grass is folded down, matted over, and maybe crusted over inside of a grayish, pinkish, fungusy looking thing, which sounds gross, and it is, but it's nothing that you should necessarily panic about. Refer to rule number 1 and refer to rule number 2. Now, while it's not something that we necessarily need to panic about just quite yet, it is something that we can panic about if we don't do anything with it. When your lawn is dry enough where you're not going to be sinking down into the soil and leaving footprints everywhere, you can go out and lightly rake these areas, fluffing up that crusted over patch that just allows more sunlight and allows more airflow to that area. And more times than not, Mother Nature and time will heal this just fine. This is by and large one of the most popular questions that I get asked almost every day is, what fertilizer do I apply in this state or this area or for this type of lawn? And the reality is no one can answer that unless we actually know what's going on inside of your lawn and in your soil. So really, if you haven't had the answer to this question yet, you probably haven't done a soil test. If you haven't done one of these in the past, I highly recommend it because it gives you a nutritional starting point to what your soil is actually asking for. You'll understand the macronutrients, where they're at, where the deficiencies are. Same with the micronutrients, your soil's pH level and CEC. And this really will give you the formula to what fertilizer is best for you. And all of this comes back to the soil temperatures that I told you about earlier, that 55 to 65 degree mark in the soil, and that's when really this growth surge happens. Now, what happens with all of the 4-step programs? Now, this is not something I discourage people from going about. This is a very beginner-friendly option, and trust me, 4-step programs give a lot of guidance. They're simple and they're very easy to use, especially for beginners or those looking to just take that next step to the lawn and don't really want to worry about it. So if that's your jam, I'm not opposed to it. But we also need to understand what this initial application is, most commonly applied in the springtime. And it is a pre-emergent paired along with fertilizer. And it all goes back to the soil temperatures and the growth surge that you're about to experience, which brings us into our next topic, weed control and how do I get less weeds than I had last year. So we're gonna put weeds into 2 different categories. The first category is weeds that you can see. They're physically outside on your lawn, you can see them, you can go out and pull them if you so choose to. The second group is weeds that you can't see. They're underneath the soil as weed seeds and you don't even know that they exist, or you don't know that they will exist eventually in this upcoming lawn season. We're gonna treat the 2 completely different. So let's dive into it. For weeds that are above your lawn and you can see them, you can go pull them, this is a relatively simplistic thing. As long as you use the right products to go do it, they're actually a lot easier than people make them out to be. For these types of weeds, you can eradicate them a couple different ways. The first one, being the most natural, is just going out there and pulling them, trying to get the entire root system out. But beware, a lot of these roots will actually drop more weed seeds, becoming weeds in the future if you don't tackle them the right way. The second one is being a traditional post-emergent, either in a granular or a liquid form, and that's really just a preference based upon what you feel comfortable with. Are you okay spraying a liquid in your lawn, or do you prefer doing a granular option inside of a spreader because you just feel more comfortable with that? Personally, I like to use the hose end sprayers that you can get at any big box store with a couple different products targeted to select different weeds. The most popular are listed down below, and inside of every single label it would list exactly what weeds it'll target in your lawn. Just be careful with these, there's a couple different caveats. There's generally a temperature range listed on the back of the bottle that you can actually apply these, and they focus on air temperatures, usually about 45 to 85. In that range is safe to apply. Anything outside of that will do a little bit more damage to your lawn than you actually want. And then the second thing with these is if you plan on seeding or doing any seeding projects, you might want to hang tight on this for just a couple minutes, and I'll explain this on the other end. On to the weeds that we can't see yet. They're underground, we don't even know that they exist, or you might not even know that they exist, so let's tackle these. Traditionally, you put out what is a crabgrass or broadleaf weed preventer known as a pre-emergent. And this will effectively, when applied and activated, will create a vapor barrier around all of those different weed seeds that will effectively stop and choke out any future growth past that weed seed's germination stage. And similar to post-emergence, these come in granular and liquid forms. Again, this is just a personal preference of what you feel comfortable with inside of your lawn. Personally, I like to apply these as a granular form just because it's easy, it takes less time, and I know I've got broad control over that entire area. Just like post-emergence, I've got a couple linked down below that I have had great experience with. Just again, make sure you read the label and go as directed. Now, post-emergence and pre-emergence are all fine and dandy, except for the fact that if you have plans to put grass seed or sod down in your lawn. And that's because these post-emergence and pre-emergence have qualities and characteristics that will actually damage or kill off new grass seed or prevent grass seed from coming up in the first place. So let's chat about that and what goals you have this year for your lawn. For post-emergence, you're generally going to have about a 3 or 4 week window on either side of planting grass seed where you shouldn't be using these to avoid future damage. For pre-emergence, it's a little different because I mentioned earlier, it creates that vapor barrier around all of these seeds or weeds and will effectively choke them out past that germination stage. Well, it does it for weeds. Guess what else it will do it for? Grass seed. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a plan moving forward and pick the right product to apply in your lawn and methodically think this one out before you just go out and apply whatever is in a 4-step program when you have other goals for your lawn. There is, however, one product that you can use that has pre-emergent and post-emergent qualities to it that is a selective herbicide, which means it doesn't target the grass seeds. If you are planning a grass seed project, you can get a product like Tenacity. There is a Scott's in granular form that I can link down below as well. Effectively, the active ingredient here is mesotrione, is what you're going to be looking for. Again, it's very dependent on what you feel comfortable with. If you're more on the beginner side, I would stick to a granular here. And if you're more of an advanced and looking for something to go out and challenge yourself, the liquid is just fine. I personally use the liquid form of the Tenacity product because it just works very well. It's multi-purpose and I can use it in multiple facets inside of my lawn care routine every single year. It works great and I highly recommend it. Let's cover the million-dollar question of what grass seed is best for you and your lawn. And the short answer is, it depends. But it's not hard to find the answer. And it depends on a couple different characteristics that you're just gonna have to answer for yourself of what your lawn has. Obviously, the location is going to be really important. Are you in a cool season zone? Are you in a warm season zone? Or are you in a transition zone? Primarily, I'll be talking about cool season grasses, which will be cool season zone and parts of the transition zone listed right here. Now, the second and third factors that are going to matter in this is the type of environment that's local to you. Does your lawn have full sun? Does it have partial sun? Does it have dense shade? Is it all shade? Is it sandy soil? Is it clay soil? All different grass types are going to perform differently in those types of environments than just a blanket recommendation of this is the grass seed that I would go with because it's in my lawn. And lastly, the third one is really up to you and the maintenance level that you want to put into your lawn. Do you want more of a low maintenance, low input option for your lawn? Or are you looking for more of a passion project like something I would do and more of like a high maintenance, you're going to be out there a couple times a week? What fits into your lifestyle and make that decision? To help you out with this, I've created a free guide that I've linked down below that you can go find that walks you through all of the different environments and all of the different input styles to make the best cool season grass recommendation for you. So for cool season grasses, there's 4 primary types of cultivars. There are going to be your Kentucky bluegrass, which I have in my backyard. my personal favorite, perennial ryegrass, which I have in my front yard, a turf-type tall fescue or a tall fescue, which I have on my side yard, and seemingly the one that no one really talks about, which is the fine fescue. Each of these cultivars has a set of pros and cons that'll help you determine what is actually going to be best suited for you. So I've listed a bunch of those inside of that guide. Certainly go check that out and make your life a little bit easier there. The last thing I want to bring up on this topic is the quality of seed that you source to go put into your lawn. Now, don't go make the same mistake that millions of Americans do every single weekend in the summertime and get in your car, go to the big box store and just pick out a random bag of grass seed to go fill some bare spots or do an overseeding project with. This topic is deserving of its own video within itself, but high level, the quality of grass seed matters. I've made the mistake, you've made the mistake without even noticing it. Big box stores has good grass seed, but the problem is they fill those bags with so much other things other than grass seed, like fertilizer, mulch, coating, inert matter, whatever, that you're not getting the best bang for your buck and certainly not the quality that you're hoping for inside of the project that you're about to complete. If you're going to invest money anywhere inside your lawn, this is the place to do it. Buy certified and elite quality premium grass seed and thank me later. So lastly, when should I do a seeding project? And the answers are gonna go back to this growth cycle for cool season lawns. You're gonna wanna either seed your lawn inside of the fall cycle or the spring cycle. Fall will be your best option because soil temperatures are coming down and giving a nice environment, a better environment for that grass seed to germinate and get established before that winter season. Springtime being second best isn't a bad option. Fall is just better. You still can be successful in a spring seeding project, filling bare spots, overseeding, whatever have you. It's just going to have its own set of risks, which I cover right here in this video, of things that you should be aware of. You're going to want to start seeding as soon as it hits that 50 to 55 degree mark. That's when the seeds can actually germinate and it's warm enough to actually produce a solid environment to get established. There's certainly a lot to consider coming out of winter going into spring, but do it with a plan, do it when you're prepared, so that way you actually have success going into your lawn season and in your lawn season. As for me, I'm Ope. Thank you for watching. Click that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.